Curtis Blaydes versus Derrick Lewis takes place this weekend in the main event of UFC Fight Night Vegas 19, Blaydes versus Lewis, and I can't wait for this heavyweight showdown this weekend. You've got two top heavyweight contenders rescheduled now a little bit later. It was supposed to happen at the end of 2020. Now we're seeing it here in February this weekend. I can't wait. Two top contenders, both on win streaks right now in the heavyweight division. Curtis Blaydes on a 4-fight win streak, looking to make it 5. Derrick Lewis on a 3-fight win streak since a 2-fight loss streak, looking to make it 4 against Curtis Blaydes. Normally in this situation, this would be for a title shot, but because of the way the heavyweight division is right now, I don't know if the winner of this fight is going to be getting a title shot anytime soon. If it's Curtis Blaydes, maybe there's a title shot guaranteed down the line if he takes a little bit of time off and waits for the whole heavyweight scenario to play out, because we've still got to see Miocic versus Ngannou 2 in March, and then we've got to see Jon Jones fight the winner according to Dana White. So little bit of a hold up right now at heavyweight, but if Curtis Blaydes wins this one, he's definitely going to get himself a title shot if he just waits on the side. He's earned it over everyone else, other than the fact that he's beaten everyone else, other than maybe Jairzinho, Rozenstruik and Cyril Gane. He's probably going to get the title shot, but for Derrick Lewis, if he wins this one, I'd say he's about one fight away from getting a title shot right now, but there's a lot on the line. The loser is going to be set back miles, especially if it's Derrick Lewis as well. Older guy, 36 years of age. I do believe that Curtis Blaydes is going to go out there and get the job done over Derrick Lewis right now. I like Curtis Blaydes as the next guy to take over the heavyweight division once these top 3 guys, with Jones included, figure things out amongst each other. I do believe that Curtis Blaydes is going to be the staple guy for the next 5 years in the heavyweight division and will likely get the championship at one point, whether it be in Ngannou's era or in Miocic's era if it extends, or in Jon Jones's era of the heavyweight division. I doubt he's going to want to stay around and defend it too many times, but I do see Curtis Blaydes one day guaranteed getting himself on that, getting his hands on that title right now in the heavyweight division. He's one of the best guys. He's beaten a bunch of people, and I'm talking about the caliber of opponents that these two have faced over their last few fights. Derrick Lewis, Blagoy Ivanov, Ilir Latifi, Alexei Olenek. Good wins. Good wins, don't get me wrong, but Blagoy Ivanov and Ilir Latifi gets a little bit weird, okay? And Alexei Olenek was far down the rankings as well. And then you look at Curtis Blaydes' last few fights. Alexander Volkov, he's now came back to do really well against Alistair Overeem and looked like an absolute savage in that fight and beat him down. Junior Dos Santos before that for Curtis Blaydes, Shamil Abdurakhimov, Justin Willis. We're getting a little bit hazy again down the list as we go down, but still a much better resume over the past few fights for Curtis Blaydes against much better competition. And I would argue much better performances as well, because Derrick Lewis losing the first round against Alexei Olenek, getting out grappled. He actually initiated in the grappling in that bout and took down Alexei Olenek, I think, to show him that he can win the grappling exchanges early while he's got energy. Eventually Alexei Olenek was able to reverse some things, put him in some close submission attempts. Didn't really work. Derrick Lewis has got a really big head and big neck, so I feel like Alexei Olenek's submissions that would work on a normal sized human being couldn't quite do it to Derrick Lewis. Lewis comes back in the second round and lands that big shot that finishes it, and then follows up with ground and pound. A lot to the back of the head, but you know what? Still a finish in the UFC, so oh well. Ilir Latifi before that. Some people think Ilir Latifi won that fight. Before that, Blagoy Ivanov. A lot of people think Blagoy Ivanov won that fight as well, and both fights between Ilir Latifi and Blagoy Ivanov with Derrick Lewis were around the same storyline. They took him down, they controlled him on the ground, he got up, did damage where he could, and got the wins because of that damage, but he was held down in those fights quite often. Against Blagoy Ivanov, who had some close submission attempts as well, Ilir Latifi was basically half guard camping on Derrick Lewis the entire fight long, had no problems getting a bigger guy to the ground, even though he's from the light heavyweight division. I feel like all of those fighters that have been able to manipulate Derrick Lewis in the wrestling department, in Olenek, in Ilir Latifi and Blagoy Ivanov, are not the same sized guy or level of grappler that Curtis Blaydes is. And I can say that with some real confidence. So I am really, really confident with Curtis Blaydes going out there and beating Derrick Lewis. And I think the only way to make money here is to decide how he does it, because I don't see Lewis winning this one. Other than maybe by being Derrick Lewis and somehow finding it out of nowhere like he did against Alexander Volkov, I really don't know how he's going to defend all the takedowns from Curtis Blaydes, because those guys, Alexei Olenek, I believe he's like 230 pounds for the heavyweight division, 43 years of age. You've got Curtis Blaydes in his prime right now, weighing in at 260 pounds in the heavyweight division, and he's athletic for that size as well, so I do believe he's going to be able to get down Derrick Lewis to the ground, control him there however he wants to, pass over the legs, land the big shots where he needs to as well, and goes for those submissions, so I definitely see Curtis Blaydes getting this one done. It's just night and day levels of grappling grappling, and we always seem to see Derrick Lewis on the ground in fights being taken down by smaller men, less athletic, older, way past their prime. I don't like this one for Derrick Lewis, and I think he will get finished in the earlier rounds by TKO. But on the feet, this is going to be interesting as well. Derrick Lewis has got a chance. Curtis Blaydes is going to have to go out there and earn the respect of Derrick Lewis on the feet early. Otherwise, he's just going to be shooting naked takedowns, and maybe Derrick Lewis can land some of those shots as Blaydes is going for him, because he's a massive guy and very hard to manipulate, and we've seen that in his fights before. And he has this weird ability to just rise from the ground with someone on top of him. I don't think he's going to be doing that against a guy with a 20-pound size advantage over his last few opponents. But he has got a weird ability to get out of situations on the ground and just rise from the dead, basically, on the bottom, which is very strange. But still, I do believe Curtis Blaydes gets this one done. He's going to have to earn the respect on the feet first, though, and I want to talk about that. Because Derrick Lewis' stand-up is good, but not really, though, because Curtis Blaydes wasn't really getting that badly outstruck by Alexander Volkov, and Derrick Lewis got what he got wiped the floor with by Alexander Volkov. And I know that he got the win in the end, and he does have a win over Alexander Volkov by KO, and that can be misleading. But Alexander Volkov won 2 rounds, 4 minutes, and 45 seconds of that bout. Start to finish, there were some moments in the first round where Derrick Lewis would land a big shot here or there, but most of all it was Alexander Volkov piecing him apart. And Curtis Blaydes looked good on the feet against Alexander Volkov, looks good on the feet in his last few fights against JDS. He finished JDS on the feet. Now, wasn't able to take JDS to the ground, however. JDS has not been taken down since 2014 in this fight with Stipe Miocic, the first fight with Stipe Miocic, and Stipe tried 18 times and got him down once out of those 18 times. I don't blame him not being able to take down JDS, and it kind of shows how good Cain Velasquez was back in the day, but even then, JDS has always had great takedown defense. It's something that he's known for. I think that Curtis Blaydes going out there and not being able to take him to the ground, we got to see how good he is on the feet instead, because he really had to resort to plan B, which he normally doesn't really do on the feet against guys, and KO'd JDS on the feet. Which is a good win, because it shows that Curtis Blaydes is at the level of a Jairzinho Rozenstruik on the feet. He's at the level of these dangerous stand-up fighters that we know in the division, as well as having that grappling background. I just don't see a single way Derrick Lewis wins. I'm sorry. I would like to try and make an argument here. I just don't see it happening. I've seen Derrick Lewis taken down by so many people before, and I think Curtis Blaydes goes out there, backs up Derrick Lewis in the first round against a cage. Lewis is going to be shelling up like he normally does. Maybe Blaydes lands a couple of leg kicks and front kicks to the body. Something along these lines, just to push Derrick Lewis backwards, and then Lewis will back up against the cage, shell up, wait. As soon as Blaydes makes a move, he's going to try swinging as hard as he can, most likely like he does in every single fight that he has. Backs up, coils up, I'm not going to do anything. Boom, massive shot. Does it land? If it doesn't, he doesn't really get anything, but if it does, the fight's over, so he's very dangerous in that way. I can see Curtis Blaydes going up against the cage, feinting a bunch, landing good technical striking shots, and then when Derrick Lewis decides to throw that big overhand back, Blaydes is going to do what other opponents like Alexander Volkov wouldn't do to Derrick Lewis in that situation, and shoot right underneath, get the double leg, put Derrick Lewis on the ground, and I think once he gets him on the ground, I don't see him just going to a decision like Blagoy Ivanov or Ilir Latifi. I really don't. I think he's going to get on top, land big shots, and I think Derrick Lewis is going to be made to work on the ground against Curtis Blaydes, which is going to leave him a lot more gassed out than he normally would be, and Curtis Blaydes is going to get like a sloppy TKO, sorry. I think you'll get a sloppy TKO finish. I'm not talking about like he's going to crash Derrick Lewis's face off the canvas and Lewis is out cold and it's crazy and it's one big elbow and out cold goes Derrick Lewis. I think this is going to be a situation where Curtis Blaydes has got his hand tied up behind his back and he's on the ground and he's got the back taken somewhat and he's just punching down, sort of like a Walt Harris versus Alistair Overeem stoppage. When Overeem stopped him, it was more about an accumulation of damage, while Walt Harris couldn't really move or have the energy to do anything to defend himself. I think Derrick Lewis is going to go out the same way. I just don't see him getting this one down. Now, he is quite wild, and that's something that Derrick Lewis does not get credit for. He might go out there and throw a jumping switch kick within the first minute. Derrick Lewis does some wacky stuff, but I do see Curtis Blaydes going out there and getting this one done pretty easily. I really do. And I think the money to be made on this one, because he's like a 4-1 favourite, which he should be in all honesty, like there's not really much to argue with there. However, it is MMA, so maybe with all the upsets we're seeing recently, they should skewer those odds a little bit, because I feel like everyone picking underdogs recently is making a good amount of money for themselves. But still, I think the odds are somewhat justified. I don't see Derrick Lewis winning this one. I think the money to be made is to pick under 2.5 rounds, Curtis Blaydes by TKO. He doesn't go for any submissions. I don't think he has a single submission in his entire career, and I'm just going to scan down his entire career right now. No, he does not since amateurs, and Curtis Blaydes has some amateur fights as well. Like, he's taken his career seriously, and I think he will be the guy to go on and rule that heavyweight division once these older guys go away, because he's 29 years of age. He's going to be 30... the day of the fight, I believe. When is his birthday? The 18th. When is the fight? I believe it's the 19th, 20th? It's the 20th. Okay, so it's going to be his birthday on Friday. So that'll be quite cool, I imagine. So yeah, he's going to be having his birthday coming up towards this weekend, towards the end of the week. And I think going into his 30s, he's going to have a real good year. Take some time off, though. See what happens with the heavyweight division. I think if Stipe takes a long time off after beating Ngannou, it's going to be a bad situation. And maybe they'll have to do something like a John Jones versus Curtis Blaydes for an interim belt or something like that to lure Stipe back. Because as much as I love Stipe, and I think he's the greatest of all time, he's the greatest heavyweight of all time. Sorry, not the greatest of all time. That's GSP. He's the greatest heavyweight of all time, in my opinion. That's a fact. However, he does only fight once a year, and it pisses me off. I understand he's saving children, okay? But maybe, like, let the children burn, you know what I mean? Like, we got to have fights on, you know what I mean? Like, where's your priorities at, Stipe, you know what I mean? Like, a little bit of a weird situation, selfish bastard. But, you know, I don't mind. He's going to be out for a year. They're going to have to do something with a belt in the meantime, and if Curtis Blaydes wins, he's in a great position to do it. One thing they don't do in the heavyweight division, and this is coming from me, the matchmaking guru here, I'm changing my name for a second. One thing they don't do, and listen to this, Sean Shelby, like I know you watch my videos. Don't you dare match up any of Cyril Gane or Jairzinho Rozenstruik against Curtis Blaydes. And I'll tell you why. If they ever do something like that, they need very long separation from Blaydes and his rematches against guys like Alexander Volkov, and they don't want to just use up all of their matchups in the meantime at heavyweight for no reason. Keep Curtis Blaydes on ice if he wins this one. Change his contract, offer to pay him a little bit more when he comes back in the future, because if he does beat Derrick Lewis, he's going to be in a great situation. Just wait, please. Don't make those fresh matchups now, because otherwise, once Stipe and Ngannou and John Jones are gone, and as much as I hate to say Ngannou's gone, Ngannou's at 36, isn't he? I don't even know how old Ngannou is. Let me have a little look. He might be older, in all honesty. That hairline's starting to go. But here we go. 34 years of age, sorry. He's 34. Soon going to be 35. These heavyweights are not young people right now. And Curtis Blaydes is 30. He's going to have another 5 years before he's even thinking about going from the heavyweight division. So let's just try and save the fresh matchups for when Blaydes might be champion and he wants to have a contender. Because otherwise what you're going to have is Blaydes as a champion fighting everyone he's already beaten over the past 3 years and just defending against them again. And there's going to be no anticipation for a heavyweight title fight for the next 4 years. So please take your time. If Blaydes wins, sit out for a bit, get better. He's improving every time. His stand-up's getting better and better. I wouldn't even be surprised if he goes out there and hurts Derrick Lewis on the feet first, just to get him that respect, and then start shooting for the takedowns afterwards. But I think he might just sort of pump a jab, feint on the outside, use his footwork, wait for Lewis to throw, and then straight underneath, just like he did against Alistair Overeem. Well, against Alistair Overeem, he gets his respect against the cage, lands some decent shots in the exchange, waits for Overeem to look to throw back or shell up. Down he goes, gets the double leg, smashes him out cold. I just see Curtis Blaydes getting the early TKO. Not only because it's just nicer to get a TKO, but he really needs to make a statement here. If he goes out there and finishes Derrick Lewis, he's going to be in a real good position. If he goes out there and has an Alexander Volkov kind of fight with Derrick Lewis, well done, you're rematching Volkov. Well done, you're fighting the winner of Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Cyril Gane. I wouldn't even be surprised if the UFC punished him in that way, if he did go out there and have a little bit of a snooze fest. So I think he has to make it exciting, get a quick finish. He knows that. 2.5 rounds under that, I think he gets a TKO and gets Derrick Lewis out of there reasonably quickly. I like Derrick Lewis. I just think this is a little bit too much. You've been getting taken down and controlled on the ground almost to a loss in your last 3 fights by smaller guys by 30 pounds that aren't Curtis Blaydes, that aren't 6'4", that don't have a longer reach than you. Not going to work out, in all honesty. I think Blaydes definitely gets this one done, but Derrick Lewis is good, man. He's very good, and if he loses this one, I don't want to see him retire. I think there's still some great matchups for him to have. I've just seen him taken down, even against DC, just toppled over. Just picked up and toppled over by DC. You You know what I mean? Blaydes is really good. I think he's at that level, and I think this fight's going to show that he's at that level. He's taller, he's got the reach, he's almost got the size, but Lewis cuts to fucking 265, so he's not going to have the size, but still, he's 260. Not going to be at a disadvantage like most of Lewis's opponents. I like his chances. And he's young as well. And a lot of these heavyweights are young, so we got to keep and nurture Curtis Blaydes, Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Cyril Gane, which is why I wouldn't have made that fight in the first place, by the way. But Jairzinho Rozenstruik, Cyril Gane, Tom Aspinall coming up, Alexander Romanov coming up as well. There's a ton of other names coming up in the heavyweight division as well. Sergey Pavlovich. We got a bunch of guys. Let's just keep these matchups fresh right now. Thank you for watching the video. Like and subscribe. I'm going with Curtis Blaydes by TKO. Click that button up there. Goodbye. I'll see you later. Toodle pip.